Hey class, welcome to the new session of module 1 where I'm going to show you how to validate your product idea. Now this is a manual method, so I'm not going to be showing you how you do this via a third-party software which could be namely Jungle Scout, AMZ Tracker, AMZ Shark. All those softwares I'm gonna be sharing as and when I feel it's appropriate and I have enough data that they are worth for you. And the reason why I say that is because it's not that I don't appreciate those software. I think those software bring out a lot what you can learn from, because obviously it's automated, so it helps you capture more data than what you would do personally or manually. But at this stage I'm more interested in Jungle Scout, as I mentioned earlier as well, because that's the one which has a one-time cost compared to the other ones. And the only reasons I keep stressing this again and again, that try and do as much as possible manually, is because I've spoken to a couple of you personally as well via chat, and I know sometimes it could be really hard because you haven't even got a product in hand yet, you haven't made any profit, and if you start spending too much then it could be a problem for you. I'm already in talks with all these third-party softwares if I can actually get some kind of discount for the class, and I'm hoping, and I've actually received some responses as well, so I will try and build up new sessions, lessons into the each category once I have some data on that, and I'll share with you on the Facebook group as well. But today I'm going to show you how you validate it through the tracker sheet. The tracker sheet is something which I just developed for my own use, which I've shown you in a couple of other webinars as well. It's just basic kind of like an Excel sheet which I have prepared where you put in data manually. The reason why you could still try and search more and more data and validate this way is because we are not searching hundreds and thousands of products at this stage. You're looking at some of the competitors listing which come up on first page, and namely they would be roughly about 10 to 16. You get 16 results, but it's not necessary, because sometimes you could see some of them are not performing well straight away. So you could just try and pick up 5, 6, 7, I mean, depending on how much time you have, or how much you want a concrete figure. Sometimes you might not be able to get data even by manual methods, or whether you're using AMZ Shark or any kind of third-party software, because I think Jungle Scout is the one which has some kind of algorithm which captures kind of more data than anyone else when it comes to the sales track record. Now I know some of my students would be US based, some of them are going to be UK based. Good news for the US base is that the Jungle Scout is obviously fully effective in the US market. The version that they have just released now, and I must thank actually Greg as well, who's the developer of the software. He's made that available to me as well, absolutely free of cost, so that I could try it out for the UK market as well. Unfortunately at the moment the main data that we are looking for, which is the sales and the revenue, is missing, so they haven't been able to yet generate enough data that they can present, but they're already working on it, and they're hoping that they would have this ready sometime in August. Whether it's available now or not, even if we don't use it to a complete extent, I personally would say that if it's possible, then get it right away, because he's willing to offer our class like a bigger discount compared to what's available outside, or what would be available to my standard podcast listeners as well. So I'm going to communicate all those things into the Facebook group, because I want this one to be more sort of a lesson rather than any kind of third-party sales page. So let's just get dive into it straight away. But before I show you the live data, or how you would track it when you actually go on the Amazon website, I just wanted to quickly recap what we are going to looking at, and if you hopefully remember what the product criteria should be. Not a concrete rule again, but that's what an ideal product criteria should be. So let's just have a quick look. So once again, we are validating a product idea or a potential product via a tracker sheet and making use of camel website. In UK it's just called UK camel, but exactly the layout and everything is same. So if you remember, I told you that the product criteria ideally should be, if you're on the US market, .com market, and you're looking at items which you could resell into 15 to 50 pound range, and if you're in UK marketplace or EU marketplace, you're looking at between 10 to 30 pounds. Your weight ideally should be between 100 grams to 1 kilogram. The lower the weight is much better, because if you remember, we're gonna airship it, which costs roughly about 5 to 7 to 8. Sometimes it could go up to $8 as well, but an ideal price is between 5 and 7. Ideally, we are looking out at a BSR, which is the top bestseller rank below 5,000. Again, this is not something I really place too much importance, but as a guidance or as a benchmark, this is what you should be looking at. If it's a little bit over, or it's probably more competitive, it's not to something worry about. As I said, this is just something to give you a benchmark, so that you don't go into either too competitive category, or you don't go into something which doesn't sell at all. The dimensions, which I talked about in the previous sessions as well, that according to Amazon FBA model, anything that is the size is less than 45 to 35, 45, 34, 26. These are the dimensions. If your product falls within this size, then they consider it as a standard item, or anything over this is going to be considered as an oversized item. Again, the weight as well, which is missing here, was about 12 kilograms, but we don't want to go into anything which is as heavy as that, even though they allow you into the standard category up to 12 kilograms. We are ideally looking at up to less than 1 kilo, or anything about that a little bit, as long as you can validate that your price for air shipping can be included in the cost and it still makes profit, is fine. But I would ideally avoid it. You should probably go into something which is a sweet spot I showed you in the previous session, which was between 100 grams and 750 grams. The lower the the weight, the more chances of you getting more products in and churning it faster. But again, it will all depend on what exactly your category of the item that you're picking is. So try to stay within this for your at least first product. If you find a potential product which you think has very good chances of you making at least those 30 sales between the 3 variations, and initially, as I said, your aim should be only for those 15 sales for your first variations. If you find something like that which falls outside these weight, price and BSR category, you can still keep them for your second, third, or additional products that once you're experienced how to deal with all these things, that would add on to your category catalog later on. At the moment, look out for something within this. Lastly, the review count, look out for something between 300 to 600. The lower the reviews of the competitor, the better the chance you have to dominate that category or that product in near future. So let's just quickly now dive in straight away to the action. So here I am on the Amazon UK, which, if you remember, you can see from the related items we reviewed last time as well, where we were talking about hydration backpack. So that's the example I'm just going to go in straight away as well, and then I will show you how I'm going to track those items and how you're going to use the tracker sheet, and how you're going to use the UK camel or camel if you are in US to track manually how many sales they have been making, what kind of sales rack they have been jumping around between, and lots of such data which you're going to see right away. So we are on the Amazon's homepage. Here basically we're going to try and see how to validate the actual item with the tracker sheet and the camel website. So as I said, if you remember, we were looking at these hydration packs. So I'm just going to start straight away how we did it last time. So I'm going to type here hydration backpack, because that's what we were looking for. I'll come back to some other things as well when you actually on this particular session, where how you can find out similar items and similar keywords as well, what rank when you type that. But for the time being, I'm just going to do hydration backpack in all department. So we are exactly on the same page as we were on the previous one of the sessions where I was showing you about the Amazon researching how to research on Amazon. So how exactly you're going to use these on the tracker sheet is as follows. So if you remember, I told you whenever you're tracking any kind of keyword, in this case is the hydration backpack, you will pick up some of the results that come up on the first page. Now this is up to you how many of them you want to track, or even if you want to go into the second page as well. But for the tracking, I think the first page results are much more important because those are most probably the top sellers. Usually if I go a couple of years back, you know, I would have gone to second, third and fourth page as well, because people used to scroll so much before they made the actual buying decision. But time has changed, people don't have that much time now. That's exactly the reason why we have these sponsored ads now, because they know people are not gonna, you know, go to the other pages and they're not going to make any sales. Only the first page people are going to make sales. That's why Amazon introduced something like that, because obviously it adds to their revenue streams. Plus it gives an opportunity for anyone who's new to target, you know, their ads you know, on the first page. If you remember, I told you my first item, I mean, when I started, I was on like page 8 and 10, and it took me months and months to reach on first page, whereas you guys are lucky that you have something like a sponsored ad to, you know, make sure that your product appears on the first page, even though you might not even be selling that much or you haven't really sold that much. Look at this. This particular brand has only sold probably few items and have only one feedback, but it still allows. Look at this one. This doesn't even have any feedback, which probably says that, you know, they have recently probably, you know, introduced this product into the market. It could be various other reasons why they don't have feedback, but this is just an indication. So this was the one we saw last time that had the major reviews. As we saw, this was 295, the other one is 169, whereas all the others are, you know, into 2 digits, but most of them are actually below 10, 15. Only 1 or 2 of them I think has 39 and around those range. So first, how you track is you pick up one of the best one, or probably the best seller, which appears based on the reviews, or, you know, based on the rankings as well. Now when you go on that page, pick up the one variation. You could start tracking other variations as well, but pick up the one which you think was, you know, on the high, which was ranking high. In this case it was a black one. And anyways, as I said, any kind of program, you know, any kind of product which normally has color combinations, black, brown, those are most common colors, just like shoes as well. So we're going to track this one. So how you track this is, if you remember, I've given you this tracker sheet which I'm going to attach in this particular module as well. This is the tracker sheet that you're going to be tracking all your products that you're interested in. Now this was obviously filled up when I was doing webinar with you guys, so I'm just going to take this away, all the data away, and show you how exactly you populate. So the item that we are tracking today is a hydration backpack, so that's what I'm going to write here. So let me just make it easier and just do this so it becomes easier. Okay, so we've got hydration backpack as the, now you could just name it something else as well, item, because this is exactly the same keyword as well we have used, but you could have just got something else. Say for example, when you were tracking yoga mat, and when you had tried to track these items with a different keyword, you could just keep a separate keyword column as well. It's one and the same, but it depends on how you want to keep track of the items. Now you want to keep going back to these items either daily or weekly, or whenever you are actually testing the actual product sales. So you might need some kind of link or ASIN number to go back to, otherwise you'll have to keep searching again and again the same item. Now there's 2 ways you could do it. Either you could actually take the link of the particular product, so you could just go here in the search bar and you could copy paste them here. I usually don't like that, the exact reason why you can see here, because of these big links and stuff like that. So to make it easier, what I do is I normally just copy the ASIN number, because even that will straight away take you to the actual product page. And once again, remember, ASIN is something which gets generated randomly by Amazon, because when you create a product, you enter your own UPC or EAN number, but Amazon wants to make sure that no one has access to that. So every time you list a product, it will generate an ASIN number which starts something like that in the UK, B00 most of the time. So you copy that and you paste that under the ASIN. Let me just adjust the fonts, possibly that should be okay. All right, now you check the BSR of the first item. So if you remember, I told you that these are the sub categories. These are not the actual category. The BSR is these. So this one is actually coming up 392 in clothing. And if you remember in the first slide, I said look for the items below 5,000 bestseller rank. So this is actually kind of a bit more competitive, but we're still gonna take down the data out of it. So when you look at some of those who are ranking probably say 2 or 3,000 or 4,000 BSR, and then you compare that to the one with 392 BSR, you will find out what's the difference in the sales they're getting depending on the BSR. I know this might sound a bit complicated, but let's just go ahead and try and populate that so it will make a little bit more sense when we move forward. So I'm going to put this 392 as a BSR, the price that it's selling at. Now just remember that this is not the price because it's not FBA item, so you got to add the delivery charge as well if it's being fulfilled by merchant and not by Amazon. So I'm just gonna round it up as for $13.99. That's the price it's selling at the moment, a couple of pence up and down. The other thing I want to very importantly I want you to check is whether it's a FBA or a non-FBA item. So this one is a non-FBA item. The reason you want to make sure is because you're going to use FBA, and FBA items would generically always turn up higher in search. So if you have few competitors who are non-FBA, you have actually got a win at that because you're going to use FBA and you'll have much more better search results, and you will rank higher if you start making sales if your product is good enough. Listing quality, this is again very important. It doesn't really make much difference with the tracking, but it just gives you an idea of what the competitors are doing. Now this is something I would scale myself from 1 to 5. Listing quality is everything. So it could be your product title, it would be the bullet points that we see here, it would be the images that the seller or the competitor has put up for that particular product, it would be the description of the actual item. So if you remember, let's go one by one. The description is still decent enough, so I'm not going to mark it down a little bit because they've still got quite a few keywords on there, even though it's not necessary, but it looks quite okay. The second one, bullet points, I would say it's kind of 3 out of 5 because they could have made use a lot of the space that's allowed, and they haven't really entered much information which you could have seen on the other listings, which we're going to see once again, because we're going to not only track one item, we're going to try and track more than one item. So I would say this is again 2 or 3 out of 5. The worst part is the description, as we have seen this before when I was showing you the session with the Amazon as well. Look at this. I mean, you can't even see why they would have, or think of why would have they left gaps here in between. So according to me, this listing is terrible because it doesn't have that kind of good images. Even this one, even though it's zoomable and it actually shows you the structure of the the texture of the product as well. In fact, actually the product is a bit more substandard, rather than the actual picture. But I'm still gonna give this probably a 2 because I think overall it doesn't really have that many features what a good listing should have. Apart from that, reviews we're gonna see. Again, all these things help you to benchmark how the listing is performing. So here comes the main part, because this is something which you're already capturing from the actual data available on the product page. So what you do now is, if you see here the quantity field, let it be 1 and you click on add to basket. Now this is what we call 999 method that I mentioned earlier on my podcast as well. But before we actually go on to checking how much stock they have, look at this amazing algorithm and the data that Amazon gives you now. This is something recently started. They never used to do it before, but it's very recently they have started now. Now what it is showing you is the frequently bought items. So the customers who bought these items, they also showed interest in these these are the frequently bought. That means majority of the sales happen with these ones in combination. And apart from that, some of them also shopped for the items which are mentioned below as well. Now sometimes this is something which Amazon is experimenting, as I can see on my products as well, and this keeps changing. So as you can see, these are some of the backpacks as well. Now this could mean that customer bought these as well and didn't like, and then they went for another model. That's why it's saying customers who shop for that item also shop for this, because maybe they were not happy with this item or whatever, or maybe they were a repeat purchaser, so they bought one of these again. They also bought similar items. Now again, these are not these were hydration pack, but look at this, these are completely different accessories. So it's already giving you an idea. Now I know we don't want to actually get into clothing or anything like that, but just gives you an idea what else could your item be, you know, in your actual product range. So you could have gloves, you could have t-shirts, you got seat pads, so many different items that could go along with these. And also they are recommending that this could be the item based on what you're buying. So this is what Amazon thinks, that a person who buys this might need one of these as well. So it's already giving you product ideas that you didn't knew. So you started only with that. And if you remember how I came across these items as well when I was teaching you about Amazon, if you want to go back to that particular session once again and see, I told you that I was thinking that, you know, I've already started running in the evening because I'm trying to lose some weight, and I'm also interested in cycling because that's what my wife wanted to do as well for, you know, in this particular summer. And I said I normally get quite thirsty, so I was actually looking for some kind of like water bottles which normally I've seen that comes with a handle so that, you know, it doesn't slip out of your hand. But when we were trying to find some product related to that, we ended up on this. And now since you have ended up on this one, you already have few more product ideas. Now this could have been one of the best bundled product because you know that these are like, you know, 20-30 pound items, so they don't last forever. And sometimes people want to buy extras as well when they're probably going for tracking and things like that. So this could be your add-on or a bundle item. These could be your other items in the range which could form, you know, your what do you say, I'm trying to say is it could be you know, different products in your product range of that particular brand. Because as I said, when you want to be successful at Amazon, try to build brand and products around one particular niche so that people who like this, they might trust you for the other items as well which are similar. So at the moment, this was just to let you know what you could end up with. Now depending on your product, you'll see some kind of suggestions like this. Now let's see how you actually track the actual sales and the stock that the you know, the competitor has. So rather than going to proceed to checkout, you go on edit basket. Now when you go there, as you see, this was one item that we searched for. You go there and you click on 10 plus, and here you write 999. Now when you do that and you click update, it's telling you that the seller has 952. Now again, just keep this in mind that sometimes, especially when it's being fulfilled by merchant, that is you or you know, like third party seller like me and you, and it's not stored at the actual FBA centers, this could be sometimes not right. What I mean is some sellers manually fluctuate these things, but I don't think so a seller, you know, selling these kind of items would change so often, because as you can see, they must have probably started with 1,000 or something like that, and now they have come down to 952. So what you do is you take that. So just once again, I'm going to show you. So you enter 999. That means you're trying to buy 999 of these, but what Amazon is telling you is this seller has only 952 of these available. So that means it's not allowing you to increase your quantity. So what you do is you take that 952 and you copy that and you paste here. Now, oh, it didn't copy for some reason. Let me just go ahead and do it this way. All right, so we've got 952. Now you could either date this or you could just write day one, but I would say just write particular day if you're actually tracking that, you know, on daily basis. So you could just write, you know, 18th of July if that was the day that you were tracking it. So what happens is when you come back here and say maybe you didn't get time to track it next day, you maybe came on 20th, so you would know that the changes have happened within, you know, 48 hours and not 24 hours. So you do that, keep doing that till the time you want to track it. So if you want to track it 7 days, you do it that way. You want to track it 2 times a day to just see, you know, whether the sales are happening during the daytime or things like that. I mean, I normally look at things like that to tweak my PPC, just try to find out, you know, when actually sales happen on my particular item on an average. But that is not, I mean, that is kind of a little bit of, you know, higher tracking that you might need at a later stage. At this stage, what we are trying to see is how many sales this particular product is making. So what you will do is you would come back, say tomorrow at the same time, and these other steps you won't need to do again because you already got your data. So all you're going to do is when you come tomorrow, so you're going to take the ASIN number from here, so you just copy and then you go back onto the Amazon search results and you bring that up. Now, as I said, you could save the link as well if you find that more easier, but if you want, you can have the async as well, so it's completely up to you. Now the next day when you come back, all you do is you go back there, you add that once again to the basket. Again, it's saying some kind of error. The reason why it's giving error, because if you remember last time I already added 952 and that was the last item. That's why it's saying that you have requested more of these items than 952. So for example, whenever you just complete your daily tracking, just make it 0 so that your basket becomes, you know, 0 again. Otherwise it will keep everything in your basket. So you go back again, you go on the actual item, then you repeat the same step again and again every day till the time you want to track this item up. So you go there, you track 999, you update the basket again. Obviously it's gonna say 952 at this point in time because we have just literally tracked that, but you get the idea of what I'm saying. You're gonna do that for as many days as you want to track. I would say few days, you know, 5-6 days or something like that should be more than enough, because you're not only tracking this item, you're going to track other items as well. So that would give you a estimated, you know, kind of data you want as soon as you want. But if you're not comfortable, you can actually wait for more days as well if you want to track more days. Now, as we were actually tracking on the, let me just go back on the page that we were at before. So that was the first item we track. Now there are obviously other items that we talked about. This is probably quite low price, so I'm not tracking this one. I'm going to track the first one which came up in higher in the search. So again, the tracking that you're going to do, the data needed is exactly the same. The keyword is the same because you are searching through the same keyword and the result was on the first page. So you go there, you go on the first page again. For the second item, you're going to save the ASIN for that particular item. You go back on the sheet and you start populating all those datas once again, the one that you did for the first item as well. So how many reviews we've got? We only got 10 on this one and it's still coming up first on the search result. One of the major reason could be fulfilled by Amazon as well, and as you can see, this one actually, you know, matches a bit more to our keyword we have searched. That's why it's coming up higher. That's why it's also important that you try 1 or 2 other keywords as well when you're tracking like that. So maybe instead of a backpack, if you remember the other keywords were hydration pack, we could try tracking according to that as well and see which products come up higher on the search, and whether they are making more sales or whether the hydration backpack, you know, keyword sellers are making more sales. So anyways, let's just continue what we were doing. So we got 10 sales. This one is $16.99. The delivery is free because it's a FBA item. So I'm gonna press that. I'm gonna say FBA because this is a FBA item. The listing quality. Okay, so you have more than 2 pictures. Again, still they could have made use of other pictures. The thing that I didn't like about, I remember from the previous session, is that the pictures were really blurry. Look at that. I mean, it's not even clear. That doesn't look like a very good, I mean, what can you make out of that? You know, it looks really ugly. The first few pictures are okay. I mean, the good thing is they have used a prop here, but again, they have messed up on the other pictures. I mean, this one as well, only when you zoom it looks all right, but other than that, it's just substandard. But I would still say it's much better picture than the first one. The title is quite good. I mean, it's okay. It's not long as well, but it does have the keywords which are supposed to be in there, and it does cover some other keywords as well, the category keywords, which is running and cycling. So it's quite good. You got very limited bullet points here, so that is kind of, I would say, 3 out of 5. Let's look at the BSR. So this one is, you know, ranking higher, so probably is making less sales. So this one would be a very interesting one to actually look out for. So we got 1426. That's the BSR number. Sorry, actually this one was for BSR. That's my mistake. So that's 1426 in the BSR, and the reviews are gonna be 10, which was supposed to be here. That's my mistake. And the listing quality, again, as I said, there is nothing in the description as well, so I'm still gonna put this as 3 because it still had a little bit better quality pictures in one or two of them, and it has a good title as well. Let's just repeat the same stuff. So if you remember, just try remembering this how I'm doing it. So you first just select add to basket, you go on added basket, and if you had your previous product here, just make sure you move, move it to save for later. Otherwise it will not allow you to do 999 if this one has already been here into 999. So once you're done with one item, just save it for later so you can come back, or just completely remove it from the basket, because you can come back with the ASIN numbers as I've showed you before. So again, here we are going to try the same thing again. So we do 999, and what does it say? This says this seller only has 142 of these available, so that means they have quite less stock. And you remember I told you that it's much more easier to track the FBA items because people you can't lie what they have. With the manual one, I can say that I've got 10,000 of these and no one's going to check. So this is the quantity we have today for this particular item. So when we come back tomorrow, all we're going to do is we're going to take this ASIN, we're going to copy that, we're gonna go back on the actual Amazon screen, we type the ASIN number, and that would bring up this listing straight away. We'll go there, we'll click on add to basket. Again, you remember why it's not showing up? Because I haven't cleared my last listing total from here. So let's just go once again, go here with the ASIN, you go there, click on add to basket, you edit the basket, you increase the quantity to 999, and the second day whatever comes up here as the available quantity you enter here. So you do that for as many products as you think you're interested in. And I was interested in the one there was another black one. If you remember, I told you the pictures were really nice. If we can find the same listing today, I'm gonna go, yes, this is the one. I'm gonna track this one as well. Again, this one was sold by Amazon, so there is probably no way, because most of the time Amazon listings wouldn't show up the exact quantity, but let's give it a try. So rather than wasting the time, first I'm going to check whether I'm able to track this or not, because there's so many other sellers as well. But the buy box is coming up for the one obviously which is sold by Amazon. So let's see if Amazon has any limited stock there, or they're actually stocking as many. So 999, right, so that's the good thing, which I was expecting it. So the Amazon is also stocking this into limited numbers, so they have at the moment 220. So that means I can just go back and start tracking this one as well. So if you remember, the things that we need to track first is the ASIN number. So I'm gonna go back here and type ASIN. Again, I need to adjust this because this is actually open office, so it just keeps going back to the other size. Again, this is going to be exactly the same because we are searching with the same keyword. Let's look at the BSR 2046. This was expected even though the product is good, because the price is quite high. This is what I would love to do. This is how I sell my product. I find generic products with better quality, high quality items. I can sell it for higher price. Yes, the cheaper products would sell hundreds, mine sell only 20-30, but that's what I'm looking for. I'm not here to sell hundred and hundreds. I'll leave those items to the big sellers or the bulk sellers. We can concentrate on building our brand by selling less but selling quality products and at higher prices. So we have already taken the BSR of this one. 2046 is what we need to enter here. The price was 28.75. Now all these things could keep changing as well, especially the ones that Amazon sells. It keeps changing quite often. I'm gonna say this AMZ, that is Amazon, or you could also put it just like an FBA because it's still kind of an Amazon fulfilled item. The listing quality, I'm gonna say this one is probably 4 out of 5, and you might think, why am I saying 4 out of 5 when the listing goods looks good? I'm quite confident the item is good. Look at the key bullet points, nothing. Whoever created this, and I'm sure that Amazon did create this, because otherwise they would have got a more dedicated page with the images, which you normally hear a lot of people saying that HTML, pictures on the HTML kind of layouts and pictures in the in the middle of the screen. So this is not initially created by Amazon, that I can tell. But look at the images. You can actually see the textures, the threading, the trademark. Look at how nicely this the bladder connection pack is as well, laid out as well. The prop as well shows you exactly how bulky or what size the hydration pack is. So all those things are absolutely nice. The heading is quite small actually. This is not ideal. You should have actually much better. I think if they would have put up more information here, it would have resulted in a little bit better sales as well. And I think the description is quite minimal as well, but I would still, just based on the the way they have actually targeted the pictures and the price, I would still rate that as 4. Because it looks like that's what people are looking at. They're not really interested in what the actual contents are. I would ideally give this 3, but just because of the quality of the pictures, I'm giving it 4. And as a matter of fact, it's sold by Amazon, or it could be a FBA item, so that's like a 1 extra point from my side for this one. Reviews, we've got 39. And the quantity we already checked was 220. So you could do this for 3, 4, 5 items that come up on the first page. It depends on how many of you want to track, but this is obviously just to give you an idea how you do this. Once you do that, make sure you come back and put the dates, how many days you're checking, because if you miss out a day and then you check on the second day, and if you forget to put that down, then you might think this is a daily sales, but it could have been 48-hour sales. So that's very important. And you could just have 1 extra column here. Obviously I'm gonna upload this sheet to the the session of the module as well, so you could download it. But you could always just keep writing how many sales it has made in those many days. You could just make a column here, so it gives you an idea whether it's making 15+ sales a day on average or not. So this is this is what I call my tracker sheet. As you can see, the heading of the the actual office sheet as well. This is how you track. Now, not only you could do this, even if you're tracking the same item with different keyword, the sales are going to be the same, but just the search results might be different. So if I would have typed just a hydration pack, maybe this wouldn't, the red one wouldn't have come up first in search. It could be something else. If you remember, I told you that this keyword is the one, probably this item is ranking higher. That's why it's making more sales, because just for the hydration pack, it's coming up higher in search. And if you look at this one comes up 4th or 5th, whereas this one shows higher result, because on the hydration backpack, this was coming up, I think 8th or 9th, and this one is a little bit higher. I think it's number 6 or 7. So you have to try and see what's the best possible keyword. But at the end of the day, your majority concern, or your main concern, is actually the sales, not how far it's coming up in the search, because those things we are going to learn in the module when we talk about listing and keywords. Your main intention at this point is just to monitor the sales here. That's it, nothing else. All you want to concentrate is all about how many sales this particular ASIN or product is making. Now, once you have done that, if you remember, I told you this is one part, but to know a little bit more about what really happened or has been happening with these products, you go on the second side, which is camel. Now, because we are in UK and we are on the Amazon UK side, I'm just going to type UK camel, and as you can see, it already came up because I've been on this website today before as well. Now, how does this tool exactly work? What it does, it measures every algorithm of the sales and the rankings that's been happening with Amazon. It's a very popular tool. As you can see, it's been mentioned on or come off the important blogs and websites as well, and it's free. So you could sign up, and I'll tell you why you need to sign up, so it gives you a little bit better updates and alerts when something happens. You can browse through these and get yourself familiar with the website, and you can see it's in the United States as well. So for any students who in the United States, if you go there, instead of UK camel, it becomes camel. I don't know why exactly they chose this name. It is a completely funny and unique name, but all we are concerned about is exactly what it could provide us. So let's go back to the sheet where we were monitoring our sales on Amazon. What I'm going to do is just take one of the ASINs, the first ASIN, and go back and type here and see the magic happen. So this was the one which we saw was probably selling the highest numbers. Let's see what's been happening with this product since its launch. So first, you see something which is called price history. Now look at this, how long this item has been selling. And this is the beauty about some of the items which are not something like, you know, phone cases or something which depend exactly on one particular model. This case has been selling since April 1 2013. That's almost more than 2 years it's been selling now. And look at it, how it started. Initially when they launched the product, they put it up just below £8, so it looks like probably $7.95. You can see here it already says this was the lowest price it's been ever sold for, and it released on April 1 2013. It shows. Now again, remember, this is excluding your what do you say, the shipping and handling charges, because this is a non-FBA item, so the shipping charges are not shown here. So if you remember, it had I think $3.99 or $3.95 the shipping charges. But just have a look how they have exactly done it. So when they launched, they obviously have it for a little lower price for some days, so that, you know, obviously they could make a little bit of more sales. As soon as some days went past, as you can see, I would say probably a month, because the next jump you see here is probably for June 13. Now then it jumps to just below £9, and looks like it could have been $8.95. And then since then, probably somewhere from July that year, so you know, April, May, June, July, in 4 months time, then they raised it to this price, which is the current price as well, $9.95. And they have never increased the price more than that, you can see, because it says the highest it has ever gone is since that July 5. After that, it has never basically been either reduced or nor it has been raised as well. And since then, they have been consistently selling at this price. Now look at this, how exactly you can change the data here as well. First of all, if Amazon has ever sold this item, you will have a green line here on the graph. So at the moment, it's only showing a blue line, which means it's only sold in new quality, and it has only been sold by a third party. So obviously Amazon has never sold this particular bag. And this is where I was saying that, you know, you should register your account, because what happens is, anytime you're trying to track an item, if it changes, that means, say for an example, if you were tracking this item from a, you know, merchant fulfill, and suddenly next day you went there and you saw that they sold, you know, they have been selling 30, and now suddenly they have sold 70 or 80 on that particular day. Now you might think that, you know, this particular product has so much demand, but it could be because they probably reduce the price. So if you enter your email address here, or your Twitter account here, Twitter I wouldn't you know, obviously say, but I would say enter your email address where you want to track all your products. You could start tracking. What that means is, any changes happens on this particular ASIN, it will alert you. So if they decrease the price, you'll get an alert. If they increase the price, you'll get an alert. So it's a very nice free tool that, you know, can help you with so much data. Now again, look at these tabs. This was just the price history. What you could look at is sales rank as well. Unfortunately, for some reason, it has decided that it doesn't want to show sales rank, but this doesn't happen on all the item. Maybe it's some kind of glitch. Probably you go back next day, it should probably show, because it's been selling for such a long time. So I don't think so there should be any problems. But again, this just tells you what category, what's the EAN number. I shouldn't have actually said this, because it's normally quite dangerous to hand over other people's EAN numbers, but that's what it is. And this was the ASIN, if you remember. So probably let's try and see if we change the date range to 6 months, and if it shows, it's still not showing. So there is some kind of problem that is not able to get the data from you know, for this particular product. Let's just try the second item. So as you can see, I'm sorry, I just clicked on it. So this tool is really helpful, because it shows you so much data what normally third-party sellers could be, probably, you know, the third-party apps could be taking from this particular website. So this is a very important tool, and it actually tells you, you know, weekly drops. And as well, this is a very good site if you want to brainstorm some ideas as well. You could go on these, you know, daily drops, weekly drops items, and see what's been selling. And again, here it's only electronics, but you can go and, you know, search for any particular item. So you could go in home improvement, and it will only show you the home improvement items. So this way you could probably, you know, brainstorm some more business you know, product ideas as well. Let's see what comes up when you actually search for the second product. So I've copied the ASIN for the second product, which you'll see by the pictures anyways when it comes. Here we go. So that was the second item we were tracking. This one was released on June 3rd, 2015, so it's quite new item. It's only been released for a month or so now. So and as you can see, it was actually ranking quite good. So it's someone like you or me who recently found that, you know, possibly that this is a profitable niche, and they've just literally got into it. So that's kind of one more indication that if someone else has started, it could be a winner for you as well. And from June 3rd to I think it was June 20th they changed the price. Yes, till then they sold for £13. So they launched it for £13, and then since then they have been selling at $14.99. Again, as I said, there is a date scroller. This is not gonna work because this is just a recently you know, launched product. But if you had 3 years, 4 years, you could check the data for last 6 months, or just 1 month, or 3 months, or 1 year. If it has been selling for more than 1 year, always try and monitor what's happening in the last few months as well, because those would be current trend for those products. Let's try and see with the sales rank. We're lucky on this one that we were able to see the sales rank. So when it launched on the June 3rd, as we can see, for was £15, £13, that day it started ranking somewhere around here, which is probably not the best one, because the best one is here. I would say somewhere about 1,550 or 60. So they were ranking on that particular range. Then they started falling a little bit. They started falling, and it does look this, they have just gone to probably dead zone here, and that could be so many other reasons, that either probably they didn't sell anything, but something going down in, you know, such a high BSR suddenly when they've been selling a little bit indicates that they could have probably run out of stock. So maybe they entered stock as only 100, 200, or probably 10, 20 when they were probably merchant fulfilling. Or if you remember, this was a FBA item, so basically they were sold by a third party, but it was an FBA item. It could be that they ran out of stock in the FBA for, you know, a couple of days. So by the time the stock went back, you can see this, you know, people have started buying again, and straight away it's gone back to the same BSR where it was initially when it started. Then it's gone back down a little bit. This could be something that there's no sales possibly, or again maybe the stock ran out for a day or two, but most probably this doesn't look like a stock ran out. It looks like they didn't make few sales on those particular days. But look, after that, after the June 17, they have made some consistent sales. That's why they have stayed around the BSR 2000, only a one drop here and again, and since then they actually went, you know, higher in the BSRs. They've almost got up to now, for the time being it looks like they're 869. So they, in a very small, you know, passage of time, as you can see, they have raised their BSR and they have consistently stayed there and probably making sales as well. Again, the product details just tells you the basic details which you not necessarily need to know, but again you could start tracking this as well. Again, Amazon no data, because Amazon has never sold this. It's always been sold by a third party. But as you can see, if it was an FBA item. Now I'm not going to show you the third one, but as you can see, this is how you start tracking your item and validating. Once you have validated all these stuff, you would know why the sales increase. So say for an example, if tomorrow these people start selling it for $7.99, and suddenly when you're tracking the sales here, you see the jumps are more than usual, it's because they have decreased the price. So you kind of benchmarking, you know, or kind of testing this data against each other to make sure that you know why the sales are happening. So this is how you use two free tools, which is obviously 999 tracker sheet method and your UK camel or camel if you're in the US method. These are very powerful tools, guys. Again, these are not paid tools, these are free tools, so you have to manually start looking at all these data. If you had Jungle Scout, which I'm going to try and prepare one quick session very soon as well, as soon as I have some more data, or if they enable the UK data as well. Otherwise I'll have to try and prepare it on the Amazon US side, but when you use Jungle Scout, all these would populate just by a click. So that's the beauty of Jungle Scout, that you don't have to do these kind of stuff. But for the time being, try and research this way, because this not only helps you get a bit more confidence about the actual product, but it teaches you as well the way I learned. So it's the hard way learned, you would say, rather than just relying on the software. So this would give you a little bit more idea of how the actual Amazon marketplace operates, what the AC numbers are, and you learn the ecosystem. Basically, that's what I'm trying to say. So that's it for this particular session. I hope this a longer session. I think this has been probably about 40-50 minutes now. Hopefully this is the longest session we have done in the module 1, but I hope, because this is where the actual fun or action is going to begin. So I hope that you are able to now understand how you start tracking. So once I'll go on the recap module as well, I'll tell you how you started and how you ended. But this is one of the most important stages in the research stage, because this will allow you then to make your firm decision that this is the item. Now I'm going to start tracking on Alibaba and Amazon and see whether I can find an item which fits into my price range and it's going to give me the $5 or £5 profit that I want. So I'm going to wrap this up for now. And I'm going to attach the tracker sheet in this as well, and a little bit more details about the UK camel, what to look out for in a PDF sheet in this session. So make sure you download that. And if you have any questions in this stage, make sure you give me a shout on the Facebook page so I can answer any queries you have, because I think this is one of the main stages now. This is where this is getting a bit more intense. It's getting a bit more interesting, because this is where the actual fun begins, according to me. The previous ones was just brainstorming, so it's all confusing. This is when we're gonna make some firm decisions now and move on to the next stage very soon. So give it a good time, watch it twice if you want. Maybe in the first time you miss out something what I said, and keep looking at it again and again. It's a video website and slide, so you could look at it anytime you want.